Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to be doing what we do best, taking a deep dive into a really complex shifting landscape and breaking it down into clear, actionable insights. So let's just get right into it, shall we? Today we're looking at something that honestly feels like magic on the surface, but, well, it's hiding a massive structural shift right underneath. We're going to take a really hard look at the true cost of our current obsession with AI and rapid automation. To ground our analysis today, it's important to mention that we're specifically exploring week 21 of the Sunny Side Up newsletter by Willem Scheepers. And what's so brilliantly highlighted in this source material is this wild modern paradox, right? Organizations today can do an unprecedented amount of work with just very, very few people. I mean, AI is writing reports, it's analyzing massive files, automating these incredibly tedious processes, and driving up productivity at literally breakneck speeds. And from the boardroom, man, the dashboards look incredible. Efficiency is through the roof, lead times are down, and companies are getting super lean. But as we're about to see, that is really only half the story. So consider this question, and I'll read it exactly as it's posed in the source. Wat gebeurt er wanneer een organisatie te efficiënt wordt? Or, what happens when an organization becomes literally too efficient? Sounds kind of like a trick question, doesn't it? Like, how could efficiency possibly be a bad thing? Well, as we look past the whole wow factor of surface-level AI and start looking at the hidden risks lurking just beneath the waterline, that's when we start to see the cracks. Because true hyper-efficiency, when it's driven purely by algorithms, often strips away the invisible padding that actually holds our human institutions together. Section 1. The AI Infrastructure Economy, from digital to physical. You know, we so often think of this whole AI revolution as just being about software, right? Chatbots and code generation, but the source material points to a really stark warning from ASML CEO Christophe Fouquet about an explosive global demand for chips. Generative AI is really just the tip of the iceberg here. Massive, and I mean massive, amounts of physical computing power are being sucked up by sectors like robotics, defense systems, autonomous systems, and industrial automation. The whole world is essentially reorganizing its hardware, and that is putting immense strain on global supply chains. We are physically transforming what we thought was this lightweight, cloud-based digital economy into a really heavy, highly demanding infrastructure economy. Section 2. Human hollowing. The hidden organizational risk. Now, while our physical infrastructure is being pushed to the absolute limit out there, something deeply concerning is happening inside our actual organizational structures. And the crucial concept here is a systemic risk called human hollowing. It's defined as the gradual loss of core human capacities, then critical thinking or real craftsmanship, all due to AI-driven efficiency. See, when we outsource our thinking or drafting or coordinating to an AI, we don't just lose tasks, we gradually drain the psychological safety, the deep-rooted expertise, and the raw human skill right out of our teams. It's this quiet, dangerous drain of the exact things that make a workforce resilient in the first place. Take a look at the visual metaphor on screen right now. That cracked egg? It perfectly captures the tension we're talking about. Over on the left, you've got our organic human capacities, the critical thinking, the craftsmanship, the psychological safety. And then on the right, you have the rigid, heavy AI infrastructure, efficiency, automation, AI agents. Those organic, delicate human elements are quite literally being fractured by the rigid demands of this tech infrastructure. You really can't just seamlessly mash these two completely different worlds together and expect nothing to break. And if you want to see this fracture playing out in the real world, just look at the number 8,000. That represents the staggering number of job losses at Meta, where thousands of employees were pushed out or shifted around to prioritize AI roles. And actually, this isn't just basic automation. This is what the source material calls the AI-Barbell Framework in action. So picture a barbell, really heavy on both ends, thin in the middle, right? Well, that entire middle management layer, the coordination, standard management tasks, traditional knowledge work, it's being completely squeezed out. The fundamental logic of how we organize a company is literally shifting beneath our feet. Section 3. The shifting pyramid. Who benefits and who pays? So with that middle layer completely squeezed out, the shape of the traditional corporate ladder is mutating. And according to findings from Bloomberg that were highlighted in the newsletter, we're seeing a really stark contrast. The changing corporate pyramid is actually unexpectedly favoring older, more experienced generations over younger workers. Now, you might be wondering, why is that? Well, it's because AI can easily do the entry-level processing and basic coding that young workers historically use to learn the ropes. But what AI absolutely cannot do is provide seasoned judgment, deep context, and lived experience. So older workers are heavily favored because their specific skills are scarce. Meanwhile, the younger generation kind of pays the price, losing those traditional entry points into the economy. Recognizing this massive demographic imbalance, it's clear we desperately need a new strategy. Enter the HCAF, or the Human Capital Allocation Framework. This is presented as an absolutely necessary strategic solution for HR and business leaders today. Because you can't just stand by and let the pyramid collapse. You have to purposefully allocate human talent. You need to consciously decide, okay, which roles are we automating with AI? Which roles are we augmenting? And most importantly, where does our scarce human value actually lie? Actually, let's just pause right here for a second and consider this. Welke menselijke waarde blijft schaars wanneer AI overal is? What human value remains scarce when AI is literally everywhere? I mean, if an algorithm can write the code, draft your marketing copy, and analyze your financial data, what exactly is left for us? I really want you to lean in and chew on this, because figuring out the answer to this question, that is going to be the single most important task for any professional or leader over the next decade. Section 4, New AI Bottlenecks, the True Challenge of Value Creation. According to some recent, heavy-hitting analyses from Stanford, the IMF, PwC, and MIT, the biggest bottleneck right now is no longer just getting access to AI. The models are out there, the tools are spreading incredibly fast. No, the true challenge, the new inequality, is actual value creation. But here's the catch. Reorganizing too fast creates its own set of chaotic hurdles. Take, for example, this ironically modern problem highlighted by the Wall Street Journal, something called AI agent sprawl. It's defined as the brand new management headache of having simply too many AI agents operating inside a company. Just imagine it. Companies thinking they're falling behind the curve, they completely panic, and they deploy countless autonomous AI agents to handle a million different tasks, only to wake up and find they've created this tangled, completely unmanageable web of bots. Yeah, too much AI without human coordination is very quickly becoming a massive liability. And this brings us to how society actually feels about all this rapid, somewhat chaotic deployment. There's a totally fascinating comparison in the source regarding the social legitimacy of AI. If you look at the US market, there is highly visible public resistance. We're talking lawsuits, strikes, really vocal pushback. But over in the Dutch market, as Willem points out, there is virtually no visible resistance yet, even with the clear impacts it's having on the economy. The key takeaway here is absolutely crucial. Blindly pushing forward with AI adoption without social legitimacy, well, that's ultimately a very fragile strategy. You really need society on board for this to work. Section 5. Human Role Modeling, the Ultimate Metaphor. So how on earth do we guide this integration safely? Well, there's this really poignant reflection from 2022 mentioned in the newsletter. It touches on the Manosphere and gives us this incredibly powerful metaphor for guidance. It asks, what is the role modeling behavior of your father? But also, are you corrected by your mother? In an automated, hyper-efficient world, we run the very real risk of losing the friction of human correction, whether it's the role modeling of an experienced mentor or the necessary gentle correction from a human leader. Direct human guidance is more critical now than it has ever been. If we hollow out our organizations to the point where only algorithms guide us, who is left to role model our values? Who is going to correct our course when we drift? That, my friends, is the ultimate scarce resource. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep asking those hard questions, and I will see you next time.